Right, just before we crack on with this episode, just a quick word about our sponsor, KS Civils and Groundworks Limited, based in Leeds. They have over 296 years of combined experience in civil engineering and groundworks. Led by Director Carl Smith, their team is known for honesty, reliability and commitment to the highest safety and quality standards. They're proudly ISO accredited and fully CHAS Elite accredited. No matter the size of your project, KS Civils and Groundworks delivers professional, trustworthy service you can rely on. To learn more, visit kscivilsandgroundworks.co.uk. Now let's dive back into this episode. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Tonight I've got the honour of talking to Jel Bearder, and Jel served with 3 RHA, my old regiment. Jel joined the army in 1986 and left in 1991. Not in the army a long time, but he's going to explain why. And I don't think it really matters how long people were in, because I've had guys who were in a lot less and I've had guys who were in a lot longer. It doesn't matter. Everyone's got a story. So anyone who wants to come on this podcast who thinks that they didn't serve enough or anything like that, it doesn't matter. You know, I'm trying to get a guy on who literally didn't pass out of training, but he just doesn't want it. And anyway, before I ramble on anymore, hey Jel, how are you doing?
Hi Andrew, nice to meet you.
And you, mate. And again, like I say to everyone, thanks a lot for coming on the podcast. Without yourselves volunteering, kind of like badger people to come on. So
I
yeah, volunteering to come on.
I was Shanghai.
Yeah, I can't really do it. So it's the same 5 questions that I ask everybody. Where did you grow up? Why did you join the military? What was it like? Why did you leave? And what have you done since? So if you just want to kick off with what was like growing up, where you grew up, and what made you join the military or want to join the military?
So I'm from North London, a town called Enfield, which is I like to say the top London borough, because it's right at the top of the whole of London. I kind of lived between Enfield and Hertfordshire in my younger days. My mum moved around a lot. When we were little, we lived out in a place called Library Hall, which was like an old people's home, and there were cottages with all the kids that lived in the cottages with their mums. It's mainly single mums. I don't know if it was a refuge, but I know my mum was trying to get away from certain things happening in her life. So kind of Hertfordshire and then into Enfield, where me and my mum lived with my nan for a while before my mum met her then to be husband in about 1980. But I would say in about 1973, so I was 3 then, I went to see my uncle Danny. He was in the Queen's Regiment based at Bassingbourne. I don't know if it was an open day or if it was his passing out parade. I think it was his passing out parade, but I'm not entirely sure. But I went to see him at the Queen's Regiment depot, and that was it. I was going to be an army man. From that moment forward, I was gonna join the army, and nothing was stopping that. As I grew up, that's what I'm going to do, and that was my goal in life, was to be a soldier. Just watching the guys doing the obstacle courses, seeing all the big guns, watching them, like there was a thing called the Trinasium, which was a big aeroplane propeller with a rope attached, and they would jump off. And as they jumped off onto the rope would go down, and this propeller would make this huge sound like wah, 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 as they jumped off. It was all part of it. Yeah. I think it was like a confidence test of some sort, but they were all jumping off this thing onto crash mats at the bottom, holding onto the rope. And it was just so exciting. So, yeah, I was going to be an army man from that day forward. My Uncle Danny, I think he did about 3 or 4 years in the Queen's Regiment. He saw a bit of service in Ireland, and he went to Kenya, and yeah, kind of done a couple of bits and pieces. But Northern Ireland was a big one. And I do recall there being a topic of a conversation was my nan, on the phone to my uncle. While he's on the phone, she could hear things going by, like explosions and stuff, because in the early 70s it was quite a tough time.
Yeah.
But that's why I joined the army back in '86. But yeah, North London, Enfield is my stomping ground. That's kind of where I've come from. My children, my sons, they're not children, they're two blokes now. They live in Enfield still. And yeah, I went to school in Lavender Primary School. I then went to Ballsmore Secondary School, which has now changed its name to Lee Valley High. It sounds a bit weird, but yeah, there you go. And then I went to the careers office in Edmonton Green, where, funnily, the recruitment sergeant was actually one of the cadet sergeants that was at my army cadet. So I joined the army cadets at 12 years old, even though you weren't supposed to till you're 13. They let me hang around a bit because they didn't want to discourage anyone. And the recruiting sergeant at the army careers office in Edmonton was one of the training sergeants at cadet. So it was quite, I knew him, so it was quite nice. Yeah, so I went in there and then I walked through the gates of Bramcote Barracks in Nuneaton in October of 1986.
So what made you pick the artillery?
I didn't pick it. I didn't necessarily want it. I think we all know it was one of the biggest regiments in the British Army at the time. Back in the 80s, it was huge. I think they had over 20 regiments, maybe 25 or more. And we were a huge regiment, if you like. And I suppose they always needed new recruits for that. Yeah, so my first choice, I'm sure a lot of guys was Army Air Corps, just because everyone wants
Fucking hell.
getting a helicopter. Was that the same for you? Or?
Yes, exactly. I used to have my bedroom was covered with like posters of lynx and gazelles, and I was definitely going to join the Air Corps. And then when I got down there, I got all the way to Sutton Coldfield.
Yeah.
And they basically turned around and says, right, you're going to have to wait till October for and I was like, I don't want to wait. So where I'm from in Hartlepool, there was nothing. There was absolutely no jobs. Fuck all. It was going to be, and I couldn't envisage hanging around any longer than I had to. So I said, no, what can I get in now? And they said, the artillery. And I was like, what's that? I didn't have a clue what it was.
No.
Just told me a bit of paper, and I thought, go on venture training all the time. That sounded great. So yeah, that's how I ended up in the artillery.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I wanted Air Corps, if not signals, but based on whatever you do in your tests, so I got offered to go into the Royal Regiment of Artillery in October, and I was like, actually, I'm all right with that. That ain't too far away. But yeah, I did Sutton Coldfield like you did. Walked through Bramcote in October of '86, and still got a few mates from my troop in training. A couple of guys that I know, kind of in touch with via Facebook. That's what Facebook is really good for, is like keeping in touch with people. That's how you got hold of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did training until obviously October of '87, and then because I did well in my my tests, like with the army, they said, well, we've got a few people we want to send you on a clerk's course. So I got sent on a clerk's course, which I was kind of all right with. My troop sergeant said, let's take every chance you can for qualifications. So he was actually from 39 Regiment, Will Phillips. I don't know if you know the name.
No.
Yeah, but he was my troop sergeant in training. Nice guy. Him and Chaz Longstaff was 50 missile, I believe. But yeah, nice guys. Yeah, so I then got sent to Worthy Down, did my level 1 or level 3, whatever the lowest level is.
Level 3.
Clark's course.
We've got that in common, believe it or not.
You're a clerk as well, yeah? There you go.
Yeah, I did the first. So the course before yours, or the year before yours, was the first All Arms Clerks course.
Yeah.
So they sent us down there straight out of juniors. All of a sudden, we're there. The fucking bar was open at lunchtime.
How cool was it?
I don't remember many afternoon lessons, put it that way.
It was so cool.
Shite is in the bar at lunchtime.
You know what? One of the things that kind of stuck in my mind about that place was how many fucking smoke breaks they had. It was ridiculous. It was like 10 minutes, go on then, go and have a smoke, lads. I was just like, what? And ladies. That was quite nice, actually, being on a course and being around females as well, because, you know, as you know, juniors, apart from the ACAD or what have you, there weren't that many female people on the camp. But yeah, the Clark's course, there was a lot, and it was fun. It was a good crack, a bit of a slog, learning to type 35 words a minute. That was quite a challenge for me, especially with two fingers like this. Yeah, that was.
I mean, the way, what I remember about it was, and like, I suppose with hindsight, thinking back, is that, you know, we'd been running around for 12 months where everything, you know, you be there, do this, have that, you know, and it was intense. And all of a sudden we were like left to your own devices. You know, you're almost an adult now, fucking type of thing. And the treat you like that, you weren't in training anymore. You were like, and I think we went a bit over the top. You know, we were still, I mean, we're fucking 17.
You're young, dumb, and full of
things.
You know, nonsense. And it is. It's a lot of us forget. You know, a lot of the guys we met in our first sort of 3-4 years of life after school, we were soldiers together, but we were still under 21. You know, most of us were under 21, and you know that's not an age. You know,
no, it's your formative years, really. It's your brain's still forming everything.
And you know, the army made me grow up in so many ways. You know, when I went home on leave, I instantly got a lot of respect. One of the things I do remember, and I don't know if it was your drill sergeant, PJ Warner, was he yours?
No.
He was a Coldstream Guards guardsman, the drill sergeant at juniors.
In fact, no, he might have been. I can't remember. It was
PJ Warner growled. So when he would growl when he did his words, Ray, you know, he'd growl with that really deep pitch, Ray, and it was he was brilliant. But all I remember is when he taught us on one of the first drill lessons I had with him, growing on the turns. Right, I was 5'8" when I joined juniors, and I was 6'1/2" an inch by the end of juniors. Yeah. So I did grow quite a lot. I mean, I was probably a small 16-year-old and then shot up as 17. But when I went home on leave, you could see people looking at me in a different way. They had a respect. So I checked the cooking. 1 sec. So sweet potato mash. That'll be all right. It'll be soggy. I just turned it off. Yeah, so I grew, and when I went home, and you could see the difference, particularly in the girls as well. It was like, oh, Bearder's changed. You know, he's changed. Wow. Like I was banging my head on the ceiling of the pub as I walked in because it had beams in. And it was nice to see people's attitude to you change. You know, because we did. Juniors, I believe, made you go from a boy to a man. It really did.
Let's go back to, say, the beginning of juniors. I mean, turning up at Bramco, and you've had experience of the military already with the cadets. You know, and I've spoken to loads and loads of people, and every one of them said, you know, it helped. Obviously, I had the only experience I had of cadets was turning up there one night and thinking this is shit and leaving. I should have walked into the rest of my life there. Yeah. No, I had two brothers in the army. That's why I joined. Really, I had two older brothers in the army. But I don't know about you, but for turning up with Bramco, I really didn't know what I was expecting or what was coming. I remember we all rocked up there and we went in the gym, and we were all in two Baker battery. That was it, yeah. Yes. And
40. Yeah.
The BC stood in front of everybody and basically called us all useless, and like, it goes, right, you're all cunts. And to be honest, it was like that was like one of the first times I've ever heard that word. I was like, I'm not from a nice place or anything like that. It's just that wasn't a word that was used. And when he said it, I was like, you can't say that type of thing. And apparently he was looking for it as well. But it was like a big eye opener.
Yeah.
Next morning, lights coming on, fucking getting kicked out of bed at fucking 6 o'clock in the morning and that. I was
I
like,
know. Right,
what's going on
PT.
here? Type of thing. I mean, did you find it? How did you react? How did you find it?
I think I've always needed a bit of structure to my life. And obviously, in training, you get a lot of it. And as I don't know if a lot of people know it, but juniors is actually part of the education system. So it's like college. And obviously, we had the Army Education Centre in there, which I found I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I mean, I thought the AEC was really good, doing the weapon stuff and the automotive technology, all those different things. I found it really quite cool. It was stuff. Yeah, I might have watched my stepfather do stuff on cars and stuff, but we were learning the internal combustion engine. We were learning about weapon systems, and learning about keeping the army in the public eye and all that stuff that we learned in that AEC. And it's important. There's really important parts of it, keeping people aware of what good stuff is happening in the military and what good things can come out of the military and what you can get out of it. So I don't regret my time in the military at all. It was wonderful. There was.
How did you find the discipline in training?
I was quite
shock?
all right with it. If anything, I was used to it as a cadet. I know that, you're still only kids in cadets, but you kind of behave like you are soldiers. You're like little soldiers. So you're kind of used to that. And there were a few people that were in training, they were never going to be able to march ever. It was never going to happen for them. They were TikToking and that was it. And they were gone within like 4 or 5 days. It was just, they were out. But there were some people that took the cadet thing kind of up a level and were like, I did this. I was a sergeant major as a cadet. I'm like, oh, all right, here we go. Jack and Ori telling stories and stuff. But kind of, I was a cadet, but that wasn't what made me join the army. I was always going to join the army. I just wanted to do some stuff because I liked army stuff. I liked firing weapons. I liked doing adventure training. I liked doing exercises. I liked going out and getting out in different places where you don't normally go. A lot of people that live, you say you're in Hartley. Was it Hartlepool, you said?
Yeah, I was Hartlepool in Hartlepool, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been to Seaton Carew. Do you know Seaton Carew?
Oh, no, Seaton Carew, yeah. Twinned with Panama. If anyone doesn't know what I'm on about, look up the canoe guy.
So I mean, there's places out of town that you might not go to as a family where your family is. My mum and stepdad, we would go to like local country parks like Trent Park or Forty Hall or Whitewebs Park that are local to Enfield. But going out to Dartmoor and going out on the moors in Yorkshire and going on these adventurous camps where you got to kayak, you got to paddle down a river in a kayak. I never did that at school, and I probably wouldn't have done that elsewhere unless I joined the Scouts or something like that. So the opportunities that are in the military I think, are great, particularly for people trying to find their way in life. There's a lot of morale in there. There's a lot of shit. Of course there is. But
that's the same with any job.
Exactly. But you can, it's, I mean, I've got, like I say, I've got very little regret of any of my service. It was a grand time. I've met some amazing friends. I've got some guys that I was in training with that I'm still kind of in touch with. And I've got my pals from the regiment, from C Battery and from HQ Battery and a few other guys that I'm in touch with. And I went up to the gathering for the first time last November, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know, were you up there on that one?
Yeah, I was up with that one, yeah.
Yeah, so I went to that, and that was my first time actually out in Newcastle. I'd been to Newcastle for one night before that, but I stayed in a hotel and then went off. So I didn't get to experience it. It was my first time out. And it was lovely to see the lads. Love it to hear the accent again. I love the accent from the northeast. I think it's great. and I start talking like it whenever I'm around you lot.
Well, it's a lot of people won't realise, but in like your time when you joined, I mean, the recruiting area was from the
Was
northeast for 3 hours,
yes,
so it was
yeah,
like the Geordie Mafia.
absolutely. And why I got sent there, who's this Cockney twat?
Yeah.
It was my first night there, my first night in the regiment when I got into Barker Barracks. Um, I, I got put in a room. Who was I in? A guy called Marty. Oh, Marty Holland. He's one of the oldest lance jacks I think, in the world. I think he was 70 or 80 then. Marty was a lovely guy. I hope he's still around. He was in the RT and I got put in a room with him. I don't know if it was a transit room or what. And then I'm like, is there like a battery bar? I want to say hello to people. And he was like, are you sure? And I'm like, oh, yeah, why not? He said, yeah, it's just down the corridor there. And I had my Deutsch marks. So, I'd done some exchanging when I landed on the plane. And I went into the battery bar. And I do remember the first, like, 4 or 5 people that were there. One was Kev Rain. I don't know if you know Kev Rain. He's a Geordie lad. There was a guy sadly passed away called Andy Paler. I think, what's his name? The barman, Guilfoyle. I think his name was Alan Guilfoyle. I think that was the barman's name. I think he became a copper in the States after he left the military. But he was the barman, and there were a couple of others that names don't quite get me. But as soon as I got in, I went, all right. And this guy, Andy Paler, it was silly. I mean, we had handbags at 5 paces because he heard me as a Cockney and he was like, fucking Cockney. And it was like, oh my God, what's going on here? And he started getting funny. I said, what's the matter? He said, oh, you're a Cockney, are you? Southern Pufter. And I'm like, what? You can't say that. I was like new to the regiment, new guy. What's going on? And we started drinking. We ended up having a little bit of handbags after that. And then we shook hands after it. And it was like, okay, was that my initiation? He said, no, that was just because you're a Cockney. And I'm like, okay. So it was very much, there was I don't know, there was definitely a north-south divide.
Yeah. And there always will be.
And you know what? But I love the northeast. Most of the guys that I served with that were from the south loved the northeast and used to go up there quite often anyway, just to spend time with the lads because it was a good crack.
But I joined when I joined 47. If I'd have done what you did and just walked in the bar, I'd have been flung out the fucking window. You weren't
Really?
allowed in until you got invited in. You literally you'd be sat in your room and some of them. I remember a guy coming in going, "What are you doing?" Nothing. Right, come on, you're going to the bar. And I'd been there about a week. I'd been at the Naffy bar, but I'd not been to the Battery bar. And I walked in the Battery bar as the Sprog. Fucking hell, that was a night and a half. That was. Yeah, fucking. Yeah, interesting. I mean, it was like, what, 1986?
Yeah.
We walked in the bar one night, they had fucking strippers on in there. Candy and Shirley, they were called. I remember it to the third time. And I was just like, what's happening? There's these 2 lasses in the corner of the bar. English. They used to go around all the regiments. I remember it in the
Played a
papers.
club or 2 as well, I suspect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it got a bit shy, put it that way. It got quite interesting on that stage, but let's not go too far into that because people might be listening.
Oh, well, let's hope so. Maybe that we'll get more listeners.
Yeah. No, I remember it hit the papers. I think it was 49 Regiment had them at a sergeant's mess function. And it ended up in the Sunday papers. Somebody's wife complained or something like that. And then it all, it became persona non grata. You're not having strippers anymore in the Battery bars or anything like that. And it all got like, yeah, they got a bit posh, I suppose. We're not allowed them anymore. But fucking hell. I mean, me walking in saying that, I was like, what the fuck? I mean,
it did happen then. No, that was the sign of the times. But now
Oh,
obviously, it's a different matter altogether. I mean,
it's a different world now, isn't it? Completely.
yeah.
But I mean, Germany for me was it was the first time I'd been out of the country.
Really?
Well, apart from we went to Italy when I was in junior leaders. We went skiing to
Oh
Italy.
yes, we did that.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd been out.
That was
But
good. Right.
you know, and I found it mad that I'm now living in a different country. I haven't even got a passport.
I was the same. I spent the first year, I think, or two. I think, yeah, until we went to Cyprus. I don't even know if I had one to go to Cyprus. We went to Cyprus for a 6-month tour. I think I was just on my Mod 90 because you could travel in BAOR with your Mod 90.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only got a passport in 1990 or 91. So, yeah, I didn't have it
No,
when
I didn't get one till '91 when we went to the Gulf.
Yeah, I didn't have one
No,
in my time in the military.
I mean, I've issued a few chitin loos and NATO travel orders, let's say, for people who wanted to go home at weekends and that. You know, where's that NATO travel? I lost the book. Don't know where they went. Where near. You know, so I mean, what was apart from that night in the bar, like when you've got turned up at your regiment? Did you find it? Because I always found a lot of people I've spoke to say the same thing, that it was quite daunting turning up at your regiment, your new regiment, because you were the Sprog.
Yeah,
You know,
it was daunting. The Geordie lads and all the folks in the regiment, they're a pretty friendly bunch. You know, there are some that you just don't know how to take, because for me, the Geordie accent, I love it, but sometimes it's quite intimidating. It's quite, you know, you what? What are you seeing? And it's like, what have I done? You know, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just a turn of phrase. But sometimes it is intimidating, and maybe as well for them, they might find my, you know, apples and pears and all that. You know, they might find that a little bit. Well, what's he going? He's a bit of a wide boy, but it's just where we're from. It doesn't make you a different person. We're all, you know, we're all from the same kind of cloth. Everyone who joins up is either running away from something or doing something they really wanted to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah, there's a lot of guys who join the military to get away from their childhood, get away from the police. You know, almost. You know, I've spoken quite a few with that.
That's why my uncle joined. He joined like in the 70s, and yeah, he had a choice. It was one cell or a barrack block, and that was why he joined. You know, he was potentially going down the wrong road. So the magistrate said, "Well, I hear you've been to the careers office. If you're going to do that, then I'll let this pass." And for whatever reason, whatever he was being done for. So yeah, so a lot of people that did happen, and some were running away from their first love. Some, you know, from a shit home life. You know,
there's a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, it's also when you look back, the military's it's a good social move, a social climate. You know, people join the army with nothing and leave years later with lots more knowledge, lots more experience, and in a different place than where they came from. So, you know, they're not on a council estate, they're not getting fucking dragged into gangs and stuff like that. They join the military, and it's a social climate, social movement. And there's not many other jobs that can do that for somebody.
No,
I don't think there's any. I can't think of any.
I mean, you know, the services, a lot of guys come out of the military and go into another service like the police or the fire service, or become a paramedic. But I don't think any quite touches what we have, you know. Yeah, I mean, I'm in touch, like I say, with a couple of guys. One of the guys that came to Cyprus with us was attached from 9 battery from 12 air defence, I think it was, when we went to Cyprus. And now I see him. He comes out on remembrance service with us, and he joined the HAC after leaving, and was also in the police. And you know, he still had a camaraderie with his HAC guys, and I think that was more of his camaraderie than the police, if you know what I mean. I think police go home after it, whereas squaddies, you tend to spend a lot of time socialising.
Well, it's not so much. It's not a job, is it? It's a way of life, and especially
Yeah.
somewhere out in like Germany where people can't shoot off home at weekends.
Yeah.
You tend to live, in each other's pocket all the time,
You
and
find
it
stuff to
brings you
do as
closer
well.
together.
You find stuff to do as well together. You know, we used to go when we were in Paderborn. We'd go off. One of the guys, what was his name? Kev Black, I think it was, in HQ Battery. I think he used to drive us down to a place called Wengen, which was a ski resort, which wasn't. It was about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours away from Paderborn. We could go skiing, you know, 2 hours away from camp, and it was quite cool. We did that once or twice. Yeah, and you find your little kind of pod, your gang of guys. Um, I've when I was at school, I was a bit of a floater. I would go between different groups. I never kind of stayed with the same friends all the time. But in the army, you find your kind of little group. And it was a bit frustrating because I came in HQ Battery first of all, was a Reggie Clark, then got moved to Training Clark. Then I moved to C Battery. Then I found my gang. Yeah, I've got a few mates from HQ, but most of them, I would say, were from C Battery, and just nice guys. Like I say, we've got our little pod that we still meet up now, and it's cool. We're actually going up to Bolton to a beer festival in October, which is going to be quite cool. There's 6 or 7 of us, and it's at the football ground. So it's I think there's a match played, and then it's the Bolton Beer Festival or something. So that should be fun.
There'll be a few headaches a day after that one, then. Eh?
Oh, I'm supposed to be going off to Nepal about a week later. Yeah.
I mean, I found that you're not about there like meeting up with people and stuff like that. I left the military 12 years ago, and once I'd left the military, I didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't want to meet up with people.
So you only left 12 years ago. So that's you did a long time.
Yeah, I did 27 years.
Well,
but I got out as a full screw, so I'm a bit of a flyer. You know what I mean?
listen, however it happened, you did your journey, right?
Oh yeah.
And I bet you've got fond memories, but a lot of us, have regrets. I wish I'd stayed in. But circumstances were, and that's what you were going to ask me. My second question, why I left. I got married, and I brought my wife up to Colchester, and it wasn't right for her. She didn't cope very well with it. We weren't. It wasn't easy for her to be straight out of her family. I think it was something she wanted to do because she had an opportunity to move into a house with me and be up in Colchester. But not long after, like her moving up there with me, I would have been on tour. So I was going to be sent away to Belize. It turned out we didn't go to Belize, or the battery didn't go to Belize. They ended up going to Northern Ireland. So it just wasn't right. I had to leave the army quick sharp because I don't want to dwell on her too much, but yeah, she wasn't well enough to cope with me being away, and she was only young, and it was a tough time. So
It is hard. It is hard for especially spouses, new spouses. It was again, looking at my own life. I went AWOL for 7 months. I got married while I was AWOL, and
I've heard that a few
after
times.
I'd come back and done my bit of bird, when I got out with Collie, they had a quarter ready for us, and it was the first time she'd been away from home, and we had a child then as well. And again, straight down, we lived in Gosport then, so into the flat. There you go. All of a sudden, I'm in Canada for 6 weeks. And that was their introduction to the fucking military.
You
Why
say
she
you
hung
were in
around, I don't know.
47? You were in
Yeah, I was in
47?
47, yeah.
Did you know Gregory Reeve?
Yeah.
Yeah, he and I were in training together. Good lad. Pecker.
Yeah.
Call him Pecker.
You're right. You're right though about the families or the spouses not being able to. It's not for everyone. I mean, the amount of time throughout all the time we were married in the army, so I was like, for the rest of my career I was married. The amount of times I was never home for Christmases, birthdays, this, that, and the other, and it was basically bringing the fucking kids that weren't around almost.
Yeah.
You know, I missed my daughter's birth because I was in Nick. I was lucky enough to make my sons. I don't know how, because I was away fucking a lot in 95, 96. I was just happened to be home in January when he was born, which was cool. But yeah, it's not for everybody, and you see a lot of disharmony and marriages breaking down just because of military life and where people can't hack it, basically. And that's not derogatory. Them saying
their
can't
fault.
hack it.
It's not their fault.
No.
And they didn't choose to join the army. They chose to be with you. And the fact that they've given it a shot, can't knock them for it. But it was what it was. So that was why I left. It was.
I mean, looking back all them years that when you did leave, how did you find the transition from being in the military and going back into civilian life?
That was the tough bit, and that's where I've got a little bit of a story because I was married for another 21 years from then, so I stayed with her for 18, but the marriage broke down, and I left. So, but initially when I first got out, it was really hard. I started trying to do kind of labouring jobs and building jobs, got on a few, and then
your mic's gone a bit funny.
Sorry, is it?
Yeah.
It's just because
if you put it back where you had it before, it was perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Okay. Yeah. It wasn't easy. My ex-wife, I became a carer for my ex-wife, so because she just wasn't well. It wasn't physical. It was more other stuff, but I don't want to go into that because that's not fair on talking about that too much. So I became a carer, and kind of for the next sort of 17 odd years, that's what I did. We had 2 kids. I've got 2 boys, or 2 blokes now. They're 28 and 25. They're good lads. My oldest son, his name's Blaine, and he's on the autistic spectrum, so he struggles with a lot of stuff. But we're building quite a nice little relationship at the moment. My youngest son, Finley, he works for Transport for London, and he's got a nice job. He's hoping to become a train op at some stage, but he's really happy to be on the job he's on, and I think he's got good opportunities there. He's a bit like me. He's followed in some ways because he's into his exercise, so he likes doing workouts. He's a bodybuilder, so he's quite a lump. So they're both good boys. But yeah, the transition for me from the army and out, it was kind of sudden when it happened. I was things just they didn't work out right for us as a couple, and it was like I had to leave. Like I say, got on a few building jobs and what have you, but I ended up becoming a carer, and then when the marriage broke down, that was obviously a very tough time for us all. I was actually working on demolition sites at the time when I first left, and someone had mentioned to me about this company called BMF, which was called British Military Fitness, and I looked at it. I was like, "That's a bit of me. That is, I could do that." So I wanted to become qualified in that, and I went to the local charitable trust where I live in Enfield and asked if I could get some support with funding for this course, just to do my kind of level 1 in fitness and recreation. And because I wasn't living at a fixed abode. I mean, I was under a roof. I was on like sofa surfing at friends.
Yeah.
But because I didn't have a fixed abode, I'm like, well, look, all the letters are going to my wife's address. She'll give them to me. And they were just like, no, we can't, because you've told us you've got no fixed abode. I'm like, well, how is anyone supposed to get help? And then I thought, you know what? So my ex-wife grandfather was the chairman of the Royal British Legion in where I'm from, in Enfield. And I popped along and he said, yeah, I'll put you in touch with this guy. There's a guy called Bert. And Bert came round to see me at my mate's gaff, and we had a little interview, and I told him what I wanted. He said, do you need transport? Do you need accommodation? I'm like, well, I haven't even thought about that. He said, well, we'll cover that as well. So they paid for my first course and my transport and accommodation. So it was down in Cardiff. I was down there for a weekend. And then they paid for my second course as well, and all the trimmings. So that's all from the Royal British Legion. It's a branch of them called Civvy Street. And yeah, as a result of that, I ended up getting my dream job, which I do now. You know, I run around in parks telling people how to exercise, how to move, and it keeps me fit and active, and it keeps them very happy and fit and active. Yeah, it's living the dream now. Things weren't.
How hard was that when you split up and you ended up, as you put it, sofa surfing?
My kids were 11 and 7, so
yeah,
that was hard, and they didn't want me to go. There was I couldn't not go. I had to go. There were reasons why, which I'm not prepared to go into. But I had to leave the family home, and I couldn't be with them. I knew it would have been, it was just too much for all sides. If I'd have kind of gone, right, I'm taking the kids, this, that, and the other, that wouldn't have been fair, or wouldn't have been right. It was right for them to stay where they were, and I just had to try and show them that I could be a reasonable example, and show them that I can do stuff.
Yeah.
Because all they'd seen was me go out, get dirty, and come back home. And then since then, that was in 2008. After the course, I turned up in Hyde Park and saw one of the instructors down there from BMF at the time, a guy called Carlos. Saw him, and I was very proud because I had my BMF T-shirt on, and I walked up. I had a tracksuit over the top of it. And he said, "Oh, can I help you?" And he was just about to give me a fly. I said, "I'm an instructor, mate." And it was just like, I was so
undercover.
Miami Vice.
Yeah.
But I was so over the moon that I was able to say that. I said, "Are you all right if I hang around, watch, and give them some encouragement, blah, blah, blah?" He was like, "No, not at all." And that got fed back to the head office, and then they said, "Right, we'll put you on a couple of sessions, blah, 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 blah." And the rest is history. I started in 2008. I've done close to 20,000 sessions now. I worked for them for 14 years. I became employed for a couple of years, or for a year or so. And then I bought a franchise of the business, which has just finished after 5 years. So I did that 5-year franchise, and that finished in February. And then I said that I'm not going to carry on with the franchise. I don't feel I'm getting any more out of it. I don't think the company's doing much with the franchises anymore. And they were like, "Okay, fine, you can take the members, blah, blah, blah." So it was like, that was a result, because then I haven't got to pay them anymore. And now all my clients, and I'm evolving as a coach as well. I'm kind of changing from the shouty boot camp sort of thing into a more holistic kind of delivering stuff. I've got varied age ranges in my groups. I've got people in their 20s, and I've also got people that are close to 80 that train with me. And I've got one group that is called Energize, which is the older people. And there's still some youngsters that do it because they don't want to do the hardcore boot camp stuff. But I'm running now across my venues 17 classes a week. So I've got Alexandra Palace, Finsbury Park, and Clissold Park. I've called London Outdoor Fitness, and it does what it says on the tin. We do fitness outdoors in London.
Quite simple then.
That's it. Ronseal.
Yeah. I mean, do you get a lot of, like, say, ex-forces trying to, or not trying, but coming for sessions as well? You know,
Well,
keep their
I
fit.
have had, but I kind of, so as BMF. Sorry, I'm getting the mic in the way again. As BMF used to be, we used to offer it free for veterans if they couldn't afford it, and I would still honour that. I would give that to guys if I knew they couldn't afford it, and I have done to a few people. If they can afford it, then, you know, why should I? You know, why should I not? You know, why should I make that a difference? I do have a discount for services and ex-services, but, you know, if someone is hard on their times, then I would absolutely give them a gratis membership. And especially if there's people that needed to lose weight for a particular reason, if they're unhealthy for a reason. But yeah, I'm lucky to have what I have. And I've got guys, like, I was supposed to work tonight at 6, but I got another guy covering the session. He's an ex-bootneck and good young lad. And that's just like, he's only done 2 sessions for me so far, but I subcontract to other PTs. So I've got a few other guys that do the sessions for me. So it's quite nice. I've got 6 or 7 guys that come and take classes for me across at the different venues. That's nice. And it's nice being in charge of your own destiny.
Yeah. I mean, how much of your... I mean, looking back, I mean, there was a big gap in you know, since leaving the military and starting this being a personal trainer. But could you look at your military bearing and training and that's encompassed in your being a personal trainer?
Well, that gave me, you know, although I was a clerk, I wasn't your typical, as we used to get called, shiny ass. I used to take part in a lot of sports. You know, I represented the regiment at athletics, football, rugby, swimming, you know, all those things. And I was always kind of active, wanted to be involved in. I've got massive FOMO, so I can't, you know, I've always got a fear of missing out. So if there's something going on, I want to be a part of it. That's just me. But what I learned in the military definitely gave me good stead. You know, just telling people how to stand. You know, some people slouch and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know, stand up straight, you know, pull your shoulders back, neck in the back of the collar. And sometimes I say that to members, you know, shoulders back, chest out, neck in the back of the collar. What the drill sergeants used to say to us, you know what I mean? It's just stand up.
Yeah. Posture, isn't it?
It's all about posture. And that's your presentation. And obviously that's something that we all have from the military. We, in general, have a pride in our appearance. And third does have a good representation, especially at the PPMA and the march at the Cenotaph. We look the bollocks.
Yeah.
Hands down.
You know, when 4-7 changed to air defence, and all those bunnies, because I got sacked as a clerk. I was shit. I got sacked and literally got sent to a gun barrack. And right, you go in there, sort your life out. You're going to get battered. Yeah, cool, nice one. And the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because I was shit as a clerk and I didn't like it. Although I ended my career working in the in RHQ for career manager. I was like basically the regimental career manager's lackey, bitch, whatever you want to call it. And I ended up behind the desk at the end of it. But when we got told we were going to third, because 4-7 changed to air defence and all the bunnies were considered to be too thick, so we got sent out of different regiments. You know, Lord went to fourth, and there was a hell of a lot of us come to their 3-hour chair.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, third had a reputation of being like bullshit, complete, you know, bullshit baffles brains. Your kit's going to be there, cravats and this, that, you know. And I must admit, we weren't looking forward to coming, right, because of that reputation, you know. And then when we rocked up there, we were like, hang on a minute, it's totally the opposite. There was more bullshit
at 4-7.
4-7 than I ever experienced in 3 hour chair. You know, it's just,
they do have a pride when it comes to on a parade. Everything comes out. It's bells and whistles, but and it's across the board. I think, you know, every regiment's got its identity. You know, we had, as you've heard it, the tradition of excellence, and it's a saying that goes with third. It is how it happens, and they've had some of the best soldiers in the British Army, top knobs. You know, General Sir Richards. You know, my old CO. You know, so many, and it's a breeding ground for really good soldiers. Like, really,
I mean, I touched on that with General Richards about how, you know, proportionately from third going to really high-ranking jobs and positions in the military and stuff like that. Yeah. And he kind of like, I wouldn't say naysayed it, but kind of played it down type of thing. But it's apparent. You know, maybe it's not so much the other ranks and the non-commissioned and stuff like that, but for officers, I do think that
people have gone places. People have gone places.
Oh, without a doubt.
What's his name? McHugh Sykes. He was pretty high up. Oh God,
Freddie Vickers.
Freddie, you know, Black Rod, you know, and made it as the highest ranking. And now General
Field Marshal. Now we've got the honorary title of Field Marshal.
He's been given the honorary title, and that's, you know, he's the top man in the army. That's it.
I mean, I'm looking forward to November because he's agreed to do a part 2 with me, which I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, nice. That's lovely.
Which I'll get a bit more in depth with him. So, what's your plans for the future then?
Well,
going to Bolton and getting pissed at the football club.
No. Well, obviously I do my fitness. With that fitness, I worked on the Olympics in 2012. Mm-hmm. So I worked at the Lee Valley Whitewater Centre, which is where they're the kayaking and stuff. And that was just around the corner from where I lived at the time, because I lived out in a place called Waltham Abbey in Essex. And it's literally a mile from the Whitewater Centre. And when I was there, when they were building the Olympic water centre, I went over there and said, "Is there any jobs? I'd love to work here." And they said, "Yeah, you can." They're doing courses. There's a raft guides course if you want to go and do that. And I got on the raft guides course, did that, got qualified, and as a result of that, was working at Lee Valley, did the Olympics. I was the tethered rescue. The common term was dope on a rope. Yeah. Basically, they tied me up, and if someone got into trouble on the course that was racing, then I had to dive in and grab them, and then they pulled me back with the rope. I didn't get used, but I was the first in the water on the day, and I created the first Mexican wave. But as a result of that, I got in touch. Like, I've got contacts with a lot of guys that paddle. And since 2011, which is the first year I went, I've been going to Nepal, to the Himalayas. So I do these adventure training trips. And I'm actually going in October, just after that event. So I'm going to paddle from Tibet to India. It's a trip I've done before in 2011, and it's an amazing trip. We get to do some massive rapids, you know, paddling down some white water that you just don't see the volume in other countries. It's just got huge volume. There's places in Africa and the US and South America that have got big volume rivers, but they've got so many in the Himalayas, it's crazy. So as a result of that adventure, the first time, I stayed in touch with the guy who sorted out all the trip, and I've taken adventures. So I've been there. This will be my 9th trip, I think. So I've been out there 9 times, including this one. And I take like groups with me, and we go trekking, mountain biking and whitewater rafting, but not like what I'm doing this time, which is 11 days on one river and then a couple of days on another river. what we do when we do the multi-adventure, we do like a 3-day trek to see the Annapurna Range. Then we trek down the mountain, go and sit in some hot, steamy baths, and then get on a mountain bike for 2 days, staying in a hotel. So you stay in tea rooms all the way up the mountain, go to see like 8 or 9 of the world's tallest mountains. Just you see them. We're not right in front of them, but we're at a viewpoint called Poon Hill, and it is amazing. And then we go down to Tatapani, which is where the hot steam baths are, natural springs. Relax in that for half a day, and then jump on mountain bikes, cycle for 2 days with a hotel night in between, and then jump on the river for 4 days and paddle down in rafts and kayaks. So it's like a really cool adventure. And like I say, I've done 5 trips of that nature, and I've been out there a couple of times doing some charity work, so building classrooms after the earthquakes and stuff. So that's quite cool.
I've never even considered going to Nepal. I don't even know what the place is like.
Well, it's where Everest is, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's special. I would recommend not spending too much time in Kathmandu, because I'm not saying it's horrible. There are nice parts of it, but it's busy. It's got a massive population for a very small country, and you can tell you're there. You feel dusty and dirty all the time. It's hectic and it's mad. So get out of Kathmandu, get out to Pokhara if you were to go on an adventure. And Pokhara is just where you can go. You can go on little treks here and there and everywhere, or you can just do mellow stuff. You can go and see the Gurkha Museum. You can go and paddle on the lake, go fishing. There's many, many things to do. You don't just have to go like adrenaline junkie style. Although I did it's the world's steepest zip line. That was quite cool. It's
no thanks. I'm scared of heights.
You're sat in a swing, but yeah, if you're scared of heights, you're scared of heights.
Yeah, fuck that. No. just no.
Yeah.
No, just no. I mean, all these years later, what's the most fond memory you've got being in the military, being in third?
I think
that's 2 questions, right? What's the most fond memory and what's the worst?
Oh, I think fond. I mean, I had a touch when I went to Cyprus. I had probably the best job that the regiment had, barring the rest of the adventure training team. So I got the water skiing instructor job in Cyprus. So basically every morning I would be in the water at 7 a.m. That's not necessarily the nicest thing. In October in Cyprus, it's not that warm.
No.
But it's quite it's a nice touch to get to water ski every day, teaching others how to water ski. And the only reason I got the job was because I was the RTO's clerk. And when Alan Cooper, Major Alan Cooper at the time, when he asked me to go up to our HQ and said, "Can you post on orders? We need someone who's water skied." I said, "I've done it before, sir." He said, "You're our man. Don't worry about that." So that was it. That was my interview for the job. I will tell you, and it's mad. I actually only water skied once before that, and it was on a boom off the side of a speedboat, and I weren't very successful. But I soon learned.
I was going to say, you got it, weren't you?
Mate, I had to. But he had faith in me, and it actually worked out. Everyone that did it, I kind of knew what to say to them. Bend your knees, get your knees up to your chest. When the water pulls you up, then just straighten your legs and stand up and leave your arms straight. That was it. But because I knew that, but I'd only done it on the boom. So you're literally hanging out the side of a boat, hanging on, and so that was quite a funny thing. So that is a fond memory, and I think what was hilarious, I was on a guy called Sean Wilson. I think it was Sean Wilson. He and I were on. We got put on Rebro, so because I was a signaller as well. and I was the driver for the Rebro wagon when we were we were on exercise somewhere in the middle of Germany, and we we were just driving around, and we all of a sudden saw the Orange Forces appear right in front of us as we're driving up a track, and it was a Challenger. Challenger? Yeah, they did have Challengers. Yeah, it was a Challenger coming straight towards us. So Sean's like, put it in reverse, quick, get in reverse. You've got to get away. That's the Orange Forces. So I've junked it into reverse, reversing down this like dirty track on a farm, and I've gone straight in a ditch. Lucky enough, it wasn't the Orange Forces, but it was a Royal Engineers vehicle that could pull us out.
Fucking handy.
It was handy, but yeah, that was one of the worst things. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was handy. Yeah.
Could have been fucking a lot worse, like.
Oh, it could have been. If it was Orange Forces, well, we could have been hurt as well. You know, it was a deep ditch. It was a 6 foot right proper hole.
I've dropped rovers in a couple of them before. Ones that I shouldn't have been driving. That's a long story.
Yes.
That I probably should never tell in public.
No.
Fucking rolled it and everything. Yeah, got into trouble for that one a little bit. Funny enough, that Land Rover that we had, that I wrecked, we were on a site guard in Paderborn.
Okay.
On a Senelager.
I did one at Minden. Or Minden?
Yeah, this was like a mini site guard. It wasn't the one with all the big towers and all that. It was just I used to just walk around and drive around. It was shit.
Yeah.
But basically, we chose to use the Land Rover. And me and the other lad couldn't drive. Or we could drive. We just hadn't passed our test. And decided to race each other around the compound. And didn't have any experience. Can't turn corners properly. Blah blah blah. And going off a drop. Rolling it and blah blah blah, wrote the Land Rover off. Whereas the weird thing was that Land Rover was on loan to the regiment, and it belonged to the QM of 3RHA. So they said, like, yeah, you can have your Land Rover back now. It's on the back of drops or a low loader, and it's in bits. It was squashed basically. They weren't happy. No. I might have got in the shit for that. In fact, I don't think I did. Kind of got away with that one.
They don't want to do too much paperwork, I think.
Yeah, well, that's it. I never signed for it anyway. Right, Jel, we're up to an hour now. I'd like to thank you for coming on, and I look forward to hearing about your stories in Nepal. I'll take you going to fire mission next year.
I am, and I will encourage anyone who hasn't been, get yourself on it, because it's a cool place. A lot of the guys that went, I won't mention the names, but I know a few of the guys that go. A couple of them have actually said it's like a therapy session. It's just a way of relaxing. There's no pressure there. You don't have to do stuff. You can chill out, but it's just you'll feel like you want to do stuff, and just being around your old mates. It really helps you. You can talk about stuff that you can't always talk about at home. You can chat shit about a load of nonsense, and it don't matter because the guys will listen. But it will stay at fire mission. It's a cool place. Highly recommend anyone to go. I missed this year because I went to Glastonbury instead, but it was just picked on that weekend. But next year there's no Glastonbury, and I will go. I promise. And yeah, I've got my little group of guys that I will be hanging about with unless they ostracise me before then.
Well, I'll have to listen to this podcast, mate.
I've got one thing to mention though. I am cycling to Paris on the 4th of September. So I'm doing the Poppy Ride, which is a pedal to Paris, all for the Royal British Legion. And because the Royal British Legion came up with the funds that helped me in the early days, I'm now one of their ambassadors. So they kind of asked me to do things, and I went to their gathering this year. It was at the Honourable Artillery Company, and they said, we'd really love you to come on the Poppy Ride. And I'm like, okay. it'll be you'll have seen the links on my Facebook anyway. If anyone's listening to this from Third, if you don't mind donating to a really good cause, they do look after a lot of people, and they look after a lot of other charities as well. So when you do the Walking with the Wounded, when you do Help for Heroes, the Royal British Legion actually donate to all of the other charities. They are a lot bigger than a lot of people think, and a lot of people just don't realise how far they reach. I've been lucky enough to be on their fundraising conferences, and they are a good entity. Doesn't work for everyone. They don't. Some people just don't agree with certain things, but that poppy appeal every year makes decent money, and it happens every year for a good reason, because there's always going to be veterans that need help.
I mean, the thing is, you can't help everybody all the time,
No.
Unfortunately. I've spoken to lots of guys who probably have a very different opinion of the Legion than yourself. I've never personally needed them or had experience of them. But I do know of people like yourself they've helped. They've really, really helped. But like I say, you can't help everybody all the time, and there's that many charities that start and fold, and the struggle. Who do we blame for this? Do we blame the government for not looking after us, or is it down to self-help or anything like that? I don't think anyone's got the answer per se, really.
No, but
it's circumstances for the individuals.
Well, there's one thing I will say to any ex-Third guys: don't be afraid to ask for help. Okay, the regiment's got a charity. Sorry, that's my missus calling. The regiment's got a charity. If you need help, it's there for us. There are lots. God, there are lots and lots of ways of finding help. Don't be afraid to ask your mates for help. It's really important, because for me, that I didn't know where to turn, and then I did. I found it, and I was very lucky. Not everyone has that opportunity.
Well, I mean, that leads back onto the fire mission thing, really, because that just helps. I've seen loads of people while I was there, and I've only been to the one, and I was like, fucking hell, I ended up doing therapy sessions myself while I was there with people. It was mint. I took on my podcast, I was going to record with people. Didn't record with anyone, but ended up talking to a lot of people. And where we'd set the van up and put the chairs out, people were coming down sitting, having a chat, and then buggering off, and then somebody else would come on and sit down and have a chat. And it was great. It was, again, meeting people that I'd never met before, seeing old faces from different regiments and things like that, and it was great.
It is. It's a cool place.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a good atmosphere. It's just, it is. It's it's going to be a yearly pilgrimage for me. It's fire mission.
It's worth it, I think, and I think some of the actual serving members of the regiment should be invited down as well. I think they're trying to do that. So I know that the D Battery lads, I'm sure, have got some contacts within the unit. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it's been mentioned on the old WhatsApp group and stuff like that. Well, Jel, again, thanks for coming on. I'll let you get off to your sweet mashed potato.
Thanks, mate.
It's not too soggy for you. Right. All right, mate. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Take care, mate. Bye.
And you, mate. Bye now. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. I enjoyed recording it. If you could just hit the like button, and also if you could subscribe and hit the notification bell, that'd be great, because it'll help the channel grow. The more people will see it, the bigger it'll get, and the more guests I can get on, and the more people I can talk to. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, like I said. Look forward to the next one. Hopefully we'll be out next week as normal. Bye-bye now.